Hello, Sandy and Gary. I want to give you guys some information on Sandy's carburetors before I test them and adjust them for you and show you how they work. Obviously, we got a cold start video. Anyway, first things first, you'll be installing the carburetors with the new gaskets that go between the carburetors and the intake, and install the carburetors, get them there loosely installed. I'll have instructions on all the hardware that goes on there to do the job. You will then get these to where they are installed but loose, and put your airlog on in place so that the carburetor is aligned with the airlog. Attach a couple of nuts to hold the airlog in place, and then do the final tightening on at a few spots on the carburetors to hold them in place. Pull the airlog off, and then do the final tightening on the carburetors, because there's enough movement up and down and sideways that the airlog may not fit. You can have the carburetors installed, snug down, and then try to put the airlog on. It doesn't fit. Also remember, the choke levers go to the inside. Make sure you got good throttle linkage. Very important that you have good fresh fuel in the vehicle, and filters is taken care of. Check your fuel filter selector lever valve that selects main to reserve tank. Make sure that's the cork is good and it's not bleeding air. When you're installing the lines here, be sure to use 2 wrenches, one to secure the fitting in the float bolt cover and the other one to do your tightening here. That way you don't damage the threads in the float bolt cover. 1/4-inch drive wobble sockets are great for installing these things. You don't need anything stronger than a 1/4-inch drive to install these carburetors. Let's go over adjustments that we are going to be making and what things do, and it's easier to get the camera up here like this. So your main adjustments are the idle speed, controlled right here, and then the other one is the idle mixture control, or idle mixture screw, which screws in and out. It has a tapered needle on it, and you just want to make small adjustments. You don't need a great big adjustment. We're just talking very small adjustments. This mixture screw is a dummy. You don't have to do anything with it. It doesn't move. And down here you have a lock tab and a set screw that adjusts the clearance between the first barrel lever and the second barrel lever. And what you need to do is make it to where this second barrel has some movement but is not completely tight against the first barrel, because if you screw this screw in too far, it will bottom out on the second barrel throttle shaft, and it will start to artificially open up the first barrel, and which will mess up your idle and goof up your ability to adjust the carburetor. So you have just the tiniest amount of movement here, and each time you adjust the idle, double check over here. And this is real simple. All you do is unscrew this. Let me get my glasses on. All you do is unscrew right here. This is what holds it in place. Get another screwdriver. Okay, so this is what locks everything down, and then you just go over here and you can adjust this in and out. And you see, if I adjust it out, see how much play it changes the play here on this thing. Okay, you just want just barely enough play to where you're not impinging on the first barrel throttle shaft, and we'll check that in a little bit. Next, let's see. Over here is our fast idle adjustment, which is about impossible to adjust here, so I'll adjust it when the carburetors are off. The clearance, if you can believe it or not, is 15 thousandths between this screw and the lever that it actuates. Now, if you notice, I got the chokes tied together here, and if you'll notice, as I pull up on the choke mechanism, the throttle moves. See the throttle moving? All you're doing when you're activating the choke and pulling on it is to just move this lever assembly down here, and it just opens up the throttle. That's what your fast idle is. It's the same, just a different way of pushing on the gas pedal. Let's see, I'm going to use this tachometer here to show how I adjust the carburetors, and we're going to be using this scale right here, RPM scale. We're using the bottom scale, 200, 400, 600. Now then, in order to get these things adjusted, you have to warm them up. So I'm going to do that first, get these things warmed up, and then we'll do the adjustment. And what I do use for adjusting purposes is this synchrometer, and the one you want is the BK 1-35, and this right out of the box fits perfectly. See all the throats? Now what we're looking for is as minimal amount of airflow through the second barrel as possible, because the car idles on the first barrel of each carburetor, and that's where all your adjustments are being made. If you have excess airflow through here, it makes it difficult to adjust the carburetors. So we'll check airflow, and then we'll balance the airflow through here. And that's where you're just adjusting the idle screw right there to get the airflow balanced. I always recommend, before final installation of the airlog and all that sort of thing, I suggest attaching a wire, your original throttle spring, and then running a wire to the inner fender with a tie strap, so that you can adjust the carburetors with the airlog off, and you can access everything. It's the very last thing you want to do is install the airlog. You don't need it prior to that. And I have let these carburetors sit for several days to duplicate real-world conditions. So let's see what we got. Let's see, switch on, choke. Yep, flooded it. So we didn't need the choke. It's too warm out. So let's open it up. All right, got a nice idle, cold, or relatively warm out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to rev it up until we get up to operating temperature, and then we'll do our adjusting. Clearly, I did not need choke under these circumstances. Just a couple of blips of the throttle, and we should have lit right off. That's not what I had in mind to happen. The exhaust came off. Son of a bitch. Well, we're not going to stop the test for that. We're just going to reattach it and crank it up and get going here. Hang on a minute. Gotta get my gloves on to put the exhaust back on. Okay, let's see if that works better. Camera back where it belongs. We are up to temperature. Now the first thing you do is you're going to disconnect your throttle right here so that both carburetors are independent of each other. You notice the RPM drop? That's all that is just throttle linkage right there. Now we're going to take our synchrometer, and you see you've got minimal airflow right here on the second barrel. Got minimal airflow right there. Airflow right there is running 7. Nope, 6. I wasn't putting up hard enough on it. Okay, 6. And right here, 6, because I've already balanced these, obviously. Now then, we're going to adjust the idle mixture screw. And you'll see the difference in the way hear the difference in the way the engine runs. Screwing it in, it's going to stumble. Screwing it out, it's going to stumble. We're going to get the midpoint. Here it's stumbling. Screw it back out. Start to stumble again. Screw it back in. And that's all there is to that. And I'm going to show you on the. Right now I got to get this linkage adjusted. So when I snap it on, nothing changes. Now we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you on the tachometer. How this looks on the tach in terms of RPM. Okay, we're on the low scale right now. We've got an idle of about 700, where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to disconnect the throttle linkage. Yeah, the throttle linkage wasn't adjusted correctly, so you can see it's low idle. Start adjusting the idle mixture screw and you see the RPM drop. Yeah, well, my needle is going crazy for whatever reason. There we go, just stabilized. So we're screw it in, we'll see an RPM drop, screw it out. Alright, now we got problems with the equipment. Well, see if the needle is going to stabilize. Alright, let's try it now. Alright, see we're dropping off, losing idle, back it out. Get our best idle speed without going too far out. And then we start to drop down again, and we'll get screwed back in. Our best idle. And we will use our synchrometer to check make sure we are synced on the throttle on the first barrel of each carburetor, running 6. Alright, put on the high scale, put the throttle linkage back on. And what we're going to do is rev it up, make sure it doesn't pop. If it pops back, it means we're lean and we need to adjust our idle mixture screw a little bit. Okay, we're looking good there. That's it. That's how you adjust these things. Now you're going to need to adjust them to your engine. You'll need to do the idle mixture screw and adjust them to your engine and whatever RPM you want. Right now I got it set at about, my needle's going crazy. It's about 600, 650 on the idle. And now that's it. Once you get these things installed, they're very straightforward to take care of. Here's a hot start. The needle is stabilized now. It says it's at 700 RPM. And 7 there. 7 there. Okay. I got these adjusted for you, and you should be ready to rock and roll when you install them on your car. Thanks for your patience.